What's going on, guys? It's Danny from Fantasy Stock Exchange here, and today I'll be bringing forth my top 5 waiver pickups going into Week 11 of fantasy football. And listen, guys, this is crunch time. You guys are making that way for the playoffs. You guys are trying to clinch your spots. Well, buckle up because we've got a few running backs available on free agency this week, on waivers this week, that could potentially help you in those flex spots. I mean, it's a weaker pool overall this week, in my opinion, but these couple of running backs in particular should be able to get you over to the hump, especially if you went with a thin, fragile running back approach in your drafts. But yeah, ready to go. Hopefully you guys won your matchups. And if not, hopefully these guys can help you win your matchups this upcoming week in week 11. So anyways, if you enjoyed this type of content, short-term type of content, waivers type of content, right in your face type of content, make sure you leave a like down below and hit that subscribe button. It really helps us grow. Just crossed 8K this week. So let's hit 9K, baby. But with that being said, before we get into the first claim, as always, we're going to hit that damn intro. All right, so let's start off with the first player of the video, and you guys can kind of see the graphic right above my shoulder, right around here, and you guys can see the first waiver claim that I have on today's episode is going to be Rhamondre Stevenson, running back from the New England Patriots, currently rostered in 33% of Yahoo Fantasy leagues. And listen, Week 10 was a phenomenal performance with him. I mean, if you guys got him cheap in DFS, he absolutely performed up to par. I mean, this is a guy who had 114 yards from scrimmage on 24 total touches and had 2 scores on the ground. Rhamondre Stevenson looked really good in that blowout win over the Cleveland Browns. And he's the one back in this backfield that combines the workhorse type of first and second down banger role while also having some adept skills in the pass game, was able to contribute 4 catches in this game. He took full advantage with the Damon Harris injury. And speaking of Damon Harris's concussion, you guys can see this graphic on the screen, but he didn't practice this Monday. They don't know when he's going to be able to play, but if this is going to be a common theme, if he's not going to practice this week, Rhamondre Stevenson will instantly become a top 15 type of play on that Thursday night football game against the Atlanta Falcons this week. And for that reason alone, he is well worth a pickup and well worth a start. I mean, in terms of FAAB, I would be willing to bid 25, 30, 35, whatever type of FAAB you need to be able to get it done. With Damon Harris not practicing on Monday, it is very unlikely off of this concussion that he is able to suit up on Thursday night football. So spend that FAAB. I think he's a locked and loaded RB2 as long as Damien Harris is not on the field. And at this point, at this current juncture in the season, you need that type of production. You need that type of stability. I think Rhamondre can give you that. So 25+%, whatever you think can get it done in your league. But let's go on to the next running back, and another running back benefiting off of injury. That's going to be Wayne Gallman, running back from the Atlanta Falcons, currently only rostered in 1% of Yahoo leagues. Yes, 1%. The main detractor here, the main information here, obviously, is the news of Cordero Patterson dealing with an ankle sprain he suffered against the Cowboys. And apparently it does not sound optimistic that he will play this week against the New England Patriots. And we saw in relief of Cordero Patterson this week, Wayne Gallman handled 11 of the 12 running back carries in the second half. The reason why he ranks lower than Rhamondre Stevenson on my list, despite both of them being expected to get a significant role this week, is the fact that it did, in fact, happen in a 36-3 blowout win at halftime for the Dallas Cowboys. I don't know if that has any impact on why Wayne Gallman saw the majority of the snaps, but for that reason alone and due to the upside, I will have him ranked lower than Rhamondre. But again, if you're in need of running back help this week, I think Wayne Gallman can give you top 25 to 30-ish type of expectation. So for a flex play, low-end RB2 play, that reason alone, I'd be willing to bid a decent bit of FAAB just to secure Wayne Gallman this week, especially, again, if you're in dire need of running backs. If you have a guy like, again, if you had Cordero Patterson, if you have Damien Harris, if you have guys that are banged up, I think Wayne Gallman could be a really solid Week 11 contributor for you this week. But anyways, off of Wayne Gallman, those are the 2 clear top running backs, in my opinion, especially if you need a win this week. A more long-term play, obviously, with the recent news of Derrick Henry's injury, I don't mind Foreman. Currently rostered in 6% leagues. For those of you who are interested in Gallman and Rhamondre, I'm not sure if I mentioned, 33% for Rhamondre and 1% for Wayne Gallman. But going back to Foreman, 6% of Yahoo leagues he's rostered in. He actually led the Tennessee Titans backfield in touches and snaps, as you guys can see on the screen. Out-snapped, out-touched Adrian Peterson and Jeremy McNichols, both of them. And it was a tough matchup this week. They did play the New Orleans Saints, who are one of the best run defense in the entire league. Well, this week, it opens up a lot more going up against those Houston Texans. I think this game can get really ugly quick. I expect the Tennessee Titans to get off to a substantial lead early in this game. And for that reason alone, I think Foreman, being the most efficient runner thus far for the Tennessee Titans in relief of Derrick Henry, is going to have a really solid game. Talked about the expectation for Gallman, 25 to 30. I think Foreman's probably closer to that 30-ish, maybe 32 type of range, but I could see a scenario where he scores a touchdown or two in this game against a putrid Houston Texans run defense. So in terms of FAAB, 20%, 15%, whatever you need. Again, at the end of the day here, FAAB is pretty irrelevant at this point in week 11. You're looking for dubs. You're not looking to save your FAAB. So if you need a spot start and Foreman is the best available on your line, or you don't get Wayne Gallman or Rhamondre Stevenson, I think it could be a very fine waiver pickup for you this week. But off of Foreman, let's go on to my fourth waiver claim. And this video is not going to have any wide receivers because, quite frankly, the wide receiver group this week is flat out awful. But anyways, let's talk about the tight end on this list and a guy that I've mentioned these last few weeks. But Dan Arnold is going to be this year's Logan Thomas, and he has been this year's Logan Thomas. You guys can see the snaps, routes run, targets. He is an absolute volume hog this year once he got traded to those Jacksonville Jaguars. 45 snaps, rest of the tight end group had 32 combined. 34 routes run, 8 targets. He's a clear target, a clear role difference maker for Trevor Lawrence this year, and what's ultimately going to be a lost season for the Jags. But hey, if Dan Arnold is producing in fantasy, that's all we really care about. But you guys can see the target distribution in his 5 games played as a Jacksonville Jaguar is phenomenal. 37 targets in 5 games played equated to 7.4 targets per game. That is elite volume. That's like outside of like Kelsey, Waller, and Pitts, unforeseen type of volume at the tight end position. The usage, the target rate, and the efficiency have been all on display since he got traded to the Jacksonville Jaguars in that CJ Henderson deal. And I think, as you guys will see in the rest of the season ranking show, I think this is a locked and loaded top 12-ish, maybe even top 10-ish type of tight end. Dan Arnold's been phenomenal, and if the touchdowns step up, he hasn't had really a single touchdown since he got to the Jacksonville Jaguars. If he is able to score some touchdowns, man, this could be a league-winning type of tight end. So in terms of FAAB, again, read your league room. Who needs a tight end? Who doesn't need a tight end? How much FAAB do they have left? But I'd be comfortable spending 15 to 20% because I do think this is a long-term play rest of the season. I really like Dan Arnold. But finally, last name on this list is going to be Justin Fields, quarterback from the Chicago Bears, currently only rostered in 25% of Yahoo leagues. And waivers are, as I mentioned, really desolate of many skill position players this year or this week. So I'm looking at a potential quarterback one rest of the season in Justin Fields. And the reason why I think he could be a potential quarterback one rest of the season is the ridiculous usage in the ground game. 43, 38, 103, and 45 rushing yards in his 4 games started in the last 4. If he receives any type of bump in the passing game, again, that's saying a decent amount, but he had his bye week. He is a rookie, had a week to learn under the job. I do think that down the stretch, especially with David Montgomery coming back, this Chicago offense can take a huge step up from where it was at, which was, quite frankly, one of the bottom 3 offenses in the league a few weeks ago. We saw glimmers of hope against Pittsburgh. We saw glimmers of hope the week before. I do think that Justin Fields is taking that step up, and with a weapon like David Montgomery coming back, could continue taking that step up. Now, you're talking about production. He doesn't have to be a great passer. I mean, we see Jalen Hurts be a top 5 quarterback in fantasy football. Obviously, Cam Newton this week, for crying out loud, was a contributor. I think Justin Fields is going to make his due on the back of a ton of rushing work. And if that passing volume, that passing efficiency is able to even get up to league average, we're talking about a locked and loaded top 12 quarterback rest of the year. So absolutely love Justin Fields in terms of FAAB. Not much, honestly, especially in one quarterback leagues, probably about 5% should be able to get it done. But if you're desperate at upside at the quarterback position, say you have Kirk Cousins, Carson Wentz, someone like that, I don't mind making that bid for Justin Fields to get a little upside, to get a little youth at your quarterback spot. But anyways, off the top 5, let's talk about a few honorable mentions. And I'm only really mentioning this guy because he's owned in less than 50% of leagues. Maybe it's due to the bye week, but Kadarius Toney needs to be rostered in your leagues. He showed too much upside, too much skill, too much efficiency in the games he's played. He was battling a few injuries, but I do think with that bye week, he was able to recover. He was able to nurture that injury. And this guy's got a ton of upside. This guy's got legitimate top 30-ish type of upside. So if he's sitting on your waivers, less than 50% of leagues, by might I add, being owned, I would absolutely be willing to put in a claim for Kadarius Toney. Last two names I'm going to mention. I mentioned Justin Fields potentially having a upward trajectory the rest of the season. Well, I do like Darnell Mooney. He's less than 50% rostered, and we have seen a clear rapport between him and Fields these past few weeks. I do think that Mooney needs to be rostered in 10, 12-man formats especially. And the final guy on this list is going to be Jamal Agnew, a kind of weird wildcard type of name, guy we didn't expect, but he's been the Jaguars outside of obviously Dan Arnold, top weapon. Look, I love Laviska Shenault. I don't know what the hell they're doing with him. Marvin Jones has been really sad, really pathetic these past few weeks. And Jamal Agnew has been the biggest source of Jaguars offense these past few weeks. So I'd be willing to stash him, put him at the end of my bench, especially in more PPR-centric type of leagues, because he has been getting a good amount of targets. But anyways, going to keep it brief, going to keep it short, around 11 minutes long. If you guys enjoyed this content, you're interested in seeing more, as always, trade targets coming out later today when Bush releases that video. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe down below. Get us to 9K, end of month. I'm counting on you guys. Peace out. Enjoy your Tuesday.